I'm Eleanor Skovgaard. I am the Special Projects Manager here at White Oak Pastures. That basically means I build or fix anything that anyone on the farm wants that's perhaps beyond the scope of general maintenance. My day-to-day, typically I'll have kind of a bigger ongoing project going on, and that, like right now, that's the tiny house. And then if I get to a stopping point with that, or if it's a rainy day or something, I have kind of a list of lower priority things, smaller little projects that I could do or quick fixes. And I try to make myself available for that stuff too, because even if it's something small, if it's a door that doesn't latch well, or if the step into the loader fell off and someone has to jump in and out of it 20 times a day, like that sucks. Someone says, hey, like I need this thing for this purpose, here's the specs, can you make it? And I go, yeah, sure, if I know how, and if I don't know how, I figure it out, and if I can't figure it out, I'll ask someone else for help. Previously, we had been keeping these lids secure using a chain, but because these are so heavy, that weight often would just rip it out, especially after these things get a little old. So instead, we just added blocks here so that when you open it, it can rest. They can fill it, with feed, and you don't have to worry about it breaking off. But we'll see, how long that lasts. This is another thing that we're potentially looking at, switching from wood to metal. And sitting out there day in and day out, getting rained on, they always degrade over time. So there's a question of, if we built this out of steel, would it last longer? Would it be cheaper? Would it be heavier or lighter? So essentially, I'm a fabricator. I do pretty much all the welding and metal work on farm, and will generally be involved in any carpentry projects. So that can range from out in the field, mineral trailers, hay trailers, creep feeders, mobile chicken coops, mobile weigh crates, and other handling equipment. And then I'll also do work in town, usually improving the staff housing or the guest lodging. Scott was the one that taught me how to stick weld and how to use the oxyacetylene torch, because I'd never done that prior to coming here. Randy and the mechanic crew, they're teaching me stuff all the time when I work on vehicles, which I had no prior experience with. Everyone here is pretty skilled in a variety of things, and that, I think, is something that I really like about rural communities. It's on me to design and implement something that will work, and that's where we do a lot of trial and error, which this is a great example of that. We try something and then we put it out in the field and see if it works, if the animals interact with it the way that we were intending, and if it holds up to being out here. The rubber flap is a pretty recent little innovation, and that's so that they can refill the minerals in here. So far, this is the best version of a mineral trailer we have out here. I also sometimes build, cute kids activities or help decorate when we have events at the general store. And I'll fix stuff at IFC or the processing plant, anything that makes kind of workflow easier for any department. They're out there every day, rain or shine, so that I can eat. They're raising the food that I eat. And so it's the least I can do to try and find any way possible to make their work a little more streamlined. And that's really rewarding. If that doesn't keep me busy enough, I sometimes work at the makerspace. I made a bunch of little leather booties and little baby moccasins. They're selling those in the store now. There's lots of creative outlets for me, and like a whole variety of ways I can contribute my skill sets to the farm, which is really cool. So all my formal education and professional experience was in technical theater. So I used to build sets and like run fly rail and stuff like that. And that was really awesome, and I loved it as a career path, and I found a reasonable amount of success with that. But at some point, I realized, that there's more to life than just a career path, and I wanted to kind of find a lifestyle that was more aligned with my values, kind of on a holistic level. So I like to say I retired. I retired from conventional life. I packed everything I owned into my truck, lived out of there for a while I traveled the country, doing work, trade, and volunteering at different kind of like alternative living situations. So it's like off-grid homesteads, spiritual retreat centers, artist communes, intentional living communities. That is how I found White Oak Pastures. I came and did the internship here, and I loved it. I had a really hard time leaving when the internship was over, and so it wasn't long before I moved back down here, asked Mr. Will for a full-time job, and I've been here ever since. You know, in my travels, what I found to be the best fit for me was in regenerative agriculture. I think it is sort of the nexus point for my highest values, which is, you know, personal health and well-being and right relationship with the land, having meaningful work, and finding a genuine sense of community. So yes, I think that's it for me. I don't think there's any going back. I really love that this is not just a job. You know, this is my life, and I live here more than I work here. I love making stuff. You know, that's how I like to spend my time. And so I'm really glad to have this job where I can just make cool stuff all the time. But the most rewarding part is seeing people and other animals interacting with the things that I made and seeing how it makes their lives easier or better or more joyful in some way. Yeah, that makes me feel really good. And I feel very appreciated and valued by the community. You know, when we're at Thirsty Thursday later on, and Scott's like, man, that thing you made, like, it makes my life so much easier, or I'm so glad that I don't have to do this or that. Yeah, that makes the effort really worth it for me. To me, there's not a question of a work-life balance because, you know, I'm just out here, and part of living means, you know, contributing to the things that make life possible. And I think that's what we're all doing out here. So I feel very fortunate to have found a place where I can live the way I want to live. And that is, you know, that I'm supporting White Oak and White Oak is supporting me. That feels really good.